All right, guys, so we are going to be putting a crazy fuel system on my truck. One thing about these on these 19 plus is no one has done a low side fuel system that I know of, okay? Like I said, I haven't seen any posts on it. When I looked for it, ain't nobody have it. I've previously tried it, and I'll explain why it didn't work. But yeah, so this truck, as people might know from Instagram, Y6.2, it is on a full bolt-on truck right now with just the 85, and that's the max for this truck, this fuel system. So the low side fuel pump is maxed out, and I have actually went through 2 of them now, and I just don't think they like being ran constant at the amount of PSI we're asking for it because of the ethanol. Now, if you're on 91, you're most likely fine. You're not even gonna be close to the max of that pump with just the mods I have, which is just headers, intake, manifold, and stuff like that. I'm also on the 85. The L87 injectors, for whatever reason, are smaller than the previous generation of the L86, is what I've been told. They're a little smaller. Those are also maxed. So I've just practically maxed this whole fuel system out on this truck, except for the high pressure pump. I think that's fine, but we're gonna be changing that. All that's gonna be changed. We're doing a whole fuel system on this truck. That the low side will be capable of about 1,600 horse. And the high side will be good for, I think, about 700, but we're going to be adding port later on. So that's no big deal. But what we got, we have a full snow performance return style fuel system. We got the LT4 high side, and we'll ignore that little bottle because that's not part of this video. There will be a video of a nitrous install on a 19 plus truck. Mine will be a little different than most because of how my truck's set up, but it'll be the basis of what all you need to do. So like I said, right now I have the Snow Performance Streetable Triple Pump. This pump is insanely big. For what I have going on the truck right now, I don't even know if I'm going to activate the other 2 pumps because it has one 450 Walbro and then 2 470, 70s, 75? I think it's 70s. I'll have to check. I don't need that right now. Now, down the road, with the plans I do have the truck, I will need that. And that's why I'm going ahead and just do it all at once, get it over with, bite the bullet once. And so, yeah, like I said, this is what I think to be the first return style fuel system, low side, anything on one of these 19 up trucks. And I will explain why by going over here and grabbing this. So I actually have my old pump. Sorry, I'm sweating, it's hot in here. It's about 100 degrees and it's dark. But I have my old fuel pump, and I will switch this camera around real quick. So just to show you guys, this is super weird. These 19 plus trucks that I believe, I don't know on the 5.3s, I know on the 6.2, this is what they come with. This is a 3-stage pump. So you cannot just put a Walbro 450, as I have attempted. These are not factory little wires or anything like that. This has all been cut and messed with at one point. Because I did attempt to put a Walbro 450 in this pump, and it did not work. So I would avoid having this giant, crazy fuel system if that would have worked for now, because that would have been capable of what I was doing. But this is a 3-stage pump. No one makes anything that I know of where you'll be able to use the FPCM on this truck to upgrade the low side. You could do an inline auxiliary fuel system. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to just go ahead and upgrade it. And what I have is for a 14 through 17 truck, and we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make this work. In some of these boxes here, I have the controller, I guess you could call it. It's really not a controller, it's just relays. For the triple pump, I got all the wiring. Like I said, I went all out on this kit. This is literally the max you could do. Well, I say max. You can get one more higher pump than that. You can get one that has 3 470s in it. I don't need that. Like I said, I don't even need this one, but we're doing it. We're doing that pump. And then I have the LT4 high side pump from DX Tuning. And same with the injectors, that's also from DX Tuning. And then we got an ethanol content gauge and just an AFR gauge that we're going to throw in the truck as well. Now, as you see, we do have the Nitrous Express kit. We're not going to make an install video, or that's not going to be part of this video. Let's go with that. There will be an install video on this, probably right after the fuel pump, because the fuel pump's really going to be its own video, as I don't even know what I'm getting into, honestly. We're gonna find that out together, because what I got 10 AN feed lines, 8 AN return lines, all the fittings to add a flex fuel sensor as well, to go with the gauge, because right now my truck, the ECM, you can't plug one in. It just doesn't work. No flex is possible that I know of, that we've tried. We have not successfully had flex on the truck, so it is E85 only. And then we got hopefully all of the AN fittings. We'll see if I'll be making an order to Snow here tomorrow. My fuel regulator, bunch of other stuff. Like I said, I'm going to go throughout the video and explain everything I'm doing to show you guys how to replicate this system if you're trying to go for big horsepower in one of these 19 plus trucks. And just in general, honestly, this video will work for anyone trying to install one of these Snow Performance fuel pumps. Most of this is going to be pretty much the same. The only thing is vehicle specific stuff, so like the wiring maybe, of where you're going to tap into and all that on this truck. That might vary. That might be different from case to case. But for the most part, you drop the fuel pump in, you run the lines. That stuff is what you can use on about anything. What fittings you might need for different stuff will be different. But we're going to go ahead and get this install done. I'm waiting on some people to help me pull the bed off of the truck. We're going to pull that in here, and we're going to get started on this. So, like I said, we're going to focus on this video about just the rear pump. I might include the LC4 system stuff. We might do a separate video on that. I really don't know. It depends on how long the video ends up being. But we'll see. So I will catch up with you guys as soon as the bed is off of the truck. So I just wanted to update something real quick since I opened those boxes. I got the relays for the fuel pump, nitrous buttons, either just for the fittings and the vise, the fuel filter holders, the RPMs, window switch wiring. There's the fuel regulator, and then here's the pump itself. So like I said, this is the triple pump. It's got the 450 and then the two 470s. I don't know exactly which one is which at the moment. And so yeah, this is what we're working with. Got the truck pulled in. I'm getting ready to get it all unbolted and everything like that. So when my guys get here, we can just plop it over here on the side of the ground. Okay guys, so I've got the bed off. I've already got the stock pump removed. It is just a couple lines here, and then this big line here. 2 plugs, and we got it sitting over here on the table. Right now, I'm trying to figure out how to get the fuel level sensor mounted to the new pump. Like I said, this is not made for one of these trucks. So I do have to either figure it out. I don't know. I'm still working on it. It might fit. I don't know yet. I might be able to get an older style fuel pump level. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But I just wanted to update you guys. I got it off. Got the bed off. Got the pump out. And we're getting started over there on getting the new pump situated to drop that in, and then we can start the whole plumbing process, because that is going to be pretty extensive with the amount of stuff I got added. So I will update you guys as soon as I get that sensor figured out, and tell you guys how you have to do it, because like I said, I'm learning. No idea, first person I think to do this. So I will update you guys in a minute. All right, so probably not the best way of doing this, but the sensor is hooked up. It is mounted. So this kit comes with this plate and this plate. So this one is for what I would assume is the 05 to 13. This would be the sensor for like your fuel level sensor. It would just slide into this. You bolt it on. This is what actually came on it. And then this one is a 14 through 19. Now 19, they do not mean the new body trucks. They mean the old style 19s that they still had left over. So I made it work. Yeah, it's not the best way. It's zip ties. This is what I got right now. If it fails later, I'll pull the bed back off and I'll fix it. And I will keep you up to date. If this ever fails, I will tell you guys. But right now it is mounted, and it will read correctly with the fuel levels. So now what I got to do is I just got to hook up this wire. I'm going to go blue to blue, white to black. because I did have to cut off the factory plug. This plug, we're going to have to just hardwire these wires because the plug that is on the harness, that will not plug into the truck. That won't plug into the factory harness on the truck, as the stock pump, which is right here, actually has a pretty big connector, and these bottom two wires are what actually are the level sensor. So I'll just have to tap into those wires on the factory harness of the truck over there, straight from this. And then that's going to give me the fuel level, since we're going to be bypassing the whole FPCM, which is the rest of this plug on the factory pump. So yeah, I'm going to get these soldered together, and then I'm going to get the sensor put in, and then we're going to drop this pump back into the tank, get that sealed up, and we're going to start running the wires and the plumbing. All right, we got it on. So we got those soldered up. I ran the blue to the blue, white to the black, and it is now on. We're going to go ahead and drop this in. I put the pressure sensor in as well. And we're going to see how much of this shit will plug up, which really is nothing. It's that plug and then those two evaps. Or it's evap and the... I don't know what that is. It doesn't say on the top of there. But the feed and the return will be running with AN lines. That's all here. I got to make all those. So that's where this shit's going to get time consuming, especially because I have to add a inline filter and then a flex fuel sensor as well. So yeah, we're going to go ahead, drop this in the tank, see how it fits, see what all plugs in, and I will update you as soon as it's in real quick. All right, we've ran into our first issue. Which is probably going to hold me up for the night, because I'm going to have to call the guys over at Snow Performance in the morning and see if we can figure something out. But the tank depths on a 19 plus truck are not the same. And this pump is not one of the adjustable types, so when you put it down, it has springs and stuff. This is a fully billet pump, and of course, it's about an inch shorter in these tanks. Now, there is a piece in there that would look pretty easy to remake with just a smaller length, and they might even have some in stock if their other pumps have that length. So I'm gonna give them a call tomorrow. I'm gonna see if they have something that I can either make work, or if we can get something made that will just shorten that down about an inch to inch and a half, and just give me the amount of room I need to get that pump to seat in there correctly. Pretty disappointed that it didn't just drop in. I was hoping that would at least work. After that, I could figure it out. That I didn't know that the tank depths are different. Like I said, if I would have went to the different pump, obviously that probably wouldn't be an issue with maybe an adjustable pump, but I wanted their fully CNC billet. I really like their design. It doesn't have any like the fuel lines and the tubes like that. It's all ran internally in the billet stuff. So like I said, I'm gonna give them a call tomorrow and see if I can get that situated, and see if we can get a little shorter of a, like, I would say it's the fuel feed tube sent, or maybe I get something made. I got some people I can contact if I need to get it made, if they don't have anything, but I'm sure we can figure something out. So I'll update you guys tomorrow when I get off the phone to see, because I think I'm gonna stop for the night, maybe. I might start running lines, maybe, but like, if I'm held up right here, I really don't want to run lines. Or unless I can just figure something out. But if that's not the case, I will update you guys tomorrow when I get off the phone with them and see what they say. Hopefully we can get something figured out. I think we can, because they have some universal pumps, so I bet they have some other parts laying on the shelf that we can make this work to adjust the length. But yeah, I'll let y'all know. Okay guys, so I've come to a conclusion of what I'm gonna do. I texted one of my buddies that does fabrication, and the pump has, here's the piece that needs shortened. This is, I'm gonna just call it the pickup tube, because it's where the three lines all connect and feed up to the feed line. And this pump doesn't have an adjustability with like a spring, like a factory pump. You can press that hat up and down from the base, and it has a spring to it. This is a solid piece of aluminum, no spring, okay? So if it had the springs, it wouldn't be any issue. There's other pumps out there that might have a spring. I have no idea. Snow Performance does not offer that, but they also don't offer a pump for this truck like no one else does. So I don't expect it to fit. And I'm fine with having to make stuff fit. That's not a problem. Like I said, I talked to my guy. He said he could shorten it down. We're gonna take about an inch off and go back to mount it again. and we'll give it a shot. So hopefully I can get it to him tomorrow and he can just bust it out real quick. I don't know. It should be pretty simple. I mean, this is anodized. Sadly, it's going to get rid of the anodized coating because there's no one around here that does that. And whatever. I looked it up. Yes, in so many years it could be a problem, but I'll fix it when that time comes. You know what I mean? But this should fix it. This should fix. That's the only problem with the pump so far. It's just the height, the tank difference. This isn't made for. This is not made for a 19 through 21 truck. So you're going to run into issues, and this should definitely fix it. So I will keep you guys updated. I will, like I said, I'm hoping tomorrow I can go get this done, and he can just do it real quick. This should really take him like 30 minutes, and then we can get it back to putting it back together because I'm holding off on it. I decided I'm not going to run the lines just because I couldn't get the pump to seat in there, and I wasn't going to have it wiggling around while I was doing it. So I'll see you guys tomorrow whenever this is fixed. Whatever the fuck comes on a Mac. All right, I got the piece shortened. I didn't even call them, so we're going to see if this fits. So I'm going to go ahead and get this bolted back on. We took about 1 1/8 inches off or so. So we'll see if it fits in the truck now. All right, so the modification did fit for the 19 through 20, whatever the fuck time you end up watching this. But one problem we're running into now is this hat is going to be in the way, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to cut the top off and just leave the ring so we have the room to run all the lines and everything. I don't really think it's that important, so I'm going to just get rid of it. Okay, so I've got the hat cut off, or the piece that holds the hat down, and then I went ahead and I installed the 90s. So we're going to probably start going to run the lines from here all the way up to the front. There are a few things that we're going to have to fix tomorrow. This evap line is not long enough with the stock line, so we're going to have to take the fittings and then probably just put some type of rubber hose there. And then I don't know if we're going to need to put this sensor in the fuel system or not. I really won't know that till first startup, and then we're going to have to go back if so. But for right now, I'm not going to put this sensor in and hope we just don't need it. We'll see. We don't need this line anymore. This is the feed line, the old feed line. We're going to replace that with a 10 AN, and then the return line is going to be an 8 AN all the way back. And then I got to wire in the fuel level, which will be this blue and white wire here. I'll have to find in this harness which wires go to where, and then we'll run these wires to the new relay that came with the fuel pumps. So we got the fuel pump in the truck, and I started to go over the fittings. I noticed that I definitely didn't order all of the ones I needed. So I changed the plan on how I'm going to run this just a little bit, and I also just placed another order of some fittings that I was missing. So my original plan was to run 10 AN all the way to the regulator. Well, I've changed that to now I'll run 10 AN until the end of my flex fuel sensor, and then I'm going to change it to 8. And because the fittings on the regulator are already 8 AN in and out, so it was just easier for me to just do it with the parts that I already have plus the ones I just ordered, to just go 10 AN till the end of the flex fuel and then switch to 8 AN and then just run 8 AN from there. 8 AN will be plenty. If later down the road I gotta change it, I'll change it, but I really don't think I'll ever need more than that. So I ordered some more fittings, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get done what I think I can get done now, and I'm gonna probably start with just mounting up so I have the filter here with the 2 brackets. Probably a little overkill, you only probably need 1. 2 looks better to me. And then I have also the flex fuel sensor kit with a innovative flex fuel sensor, because I have the gauge for ethanol content. Like I said, a little overboard, but this is actually super cool how they designed this. They made it where it has 2 ports, so you're not trying to push tons of fuel through that flex fuel sensor. It has another route to go for anything more than really what that flex fuel sensor is probably made for. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get this fuel filter mounted up on the frame under the truck, and then I'm gonna mount the flex fuel sensor, and then I still gotta find a spot that I'm happy with putting this regulator. I've looked in this engine bay, and there's really not very good places to put it. So I'm gonna have to do probably some removing of some of the sound deadening in the truck to get this mounted where it really needs to be. So yeah, I'm gonna update you guys when I'm down under the truck and where I end up putting this fuel filter, and then we're gonna start running the AN lines to it because I do have most of the stuff to get most of this done, just not the front part. So I will update you guys on where I put this. All right, I got the fuel filter housing mounted right here on the frame rail, pretty in line with the factory fuel line. I'm probably just gonna leave the factory fuel line because it doesn't really matter. This truck's already heavy. It's not like I really care about a little bit of weight, and this line's still being used, just the feed line is not. So I got the 10 AN line here. I'm going to run that back to the fuel pump up here somewhere up there, but I'm gonna run that line here to there. I might actually mount the flex fuel sensor first. I'm thinking about putting it somewhere in this area. I need to look at the mounting bracket that came on it. But I'm gonna either make this line next, or I'm gonna put that flex fuel sensor. So I will update you guys with what I end up doing next, and if I mount that flex fuel sensor, where I mount it at over there. Also remember, this is on a 19 plus truck. Some trucks are gonna look different, but just in general, this is going to be about how you do this with just an install on a truck. Okay, so you're going to have your inline filter. You're going to have to find a place to put it. This is just where I put mine. Where you put yours depends on your application. So like I said, I'll update you guys on the next clip about the next step I do. All right, so I went ahead. I did end up just putting the fuel flex sensor in. I ended up mounting it to this body brace here. On the left side of this transfer case. I know it's kind of dark. I don't have a light right now, but it's mounted. There's room for the lines to run to the front of the truck and back to the filter. So now I am going to start making lines because I really only have enough stuff right now to go ahead and run the 10 AN here, 10s to the sensor, and then from there we need to figure out some more fitting stuff that I got to get from Snow, which I do have that on the way. Hopefully it'll be here Friday. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get this made for this 10 AN to that 10 AN and get that all connected. Okay, so I just figured out that these are actually not just normal AN fittings that I ended up purchasing with the Snow Performance Kit. So I just want to show you guys how to use them real quick because I literally just learned how these work as well. And it's going to be pretty difficult considering I don't have a tripod. But, so right here, this is a 10 AN line. This is what I'm using for my feed line, or my main feed line. But I just had to figure this out because normally the other AN fittings I've done, you just slide that in with this already on here, like so, and then you just jam that in, and you're good. But with these ones, it has this little collar, and with that, you'll want to put this between the there's that white inner hose and the braided part. So you'll want to put it like that. And then you'll want to hammer it down. First, of course, you'll want to put your collar on. I just don't have two hands to do so at the moment. Slide that on, and then you'll want to do that. But you'll do it till it's completely flush with this inner ring in here. And then that's how you're going to make this hose. So then you just cut them to length with a grinder, and you're good to go. But I just thought I'd show you guys that since I had no idea. And, yeah, I had no idea how to use these, so might as well show other people. All right, I know it's hard to see again, but we got the 10 AN lines running from the fuel filter, from the fuel hat to the fuel filter, and then over here to the fuel flex sensor. Now I have an 8 AN going out of the flex sensor, so I'm gonna have to do that up to the regulator. I still have not mounted the regulator. I don't know exactly where I'm going to put it. Let me get out from under here. But here's the upper view of the 10A in line. This will be my return line. Also will be 8A in. Still have to mount the regulator to figure out where I'm going to put that. So I might stop here for the night. I don't know just yet because I do have some questions about the wiring that I have to message Michael over at Nitrous Express just to make sure that it's all done right, and so that I tell you guys the right information. But I think for now, for the night, I'm going to stop here. I got some progress, and I got some stuff on order to continue the install. Tomorrow, I will be coming back to install the regulator somewhere in the engine bay. I think I'm going to end up putting it back in here. Not 100% sure. I might take this down because there's not a whole lot of room. But there's no good spot that I found. I tried doing my catch can area. That's why it's unbolted. But I just can't find a spot that I like. So we'll see. Like I said, I think right there is going to be the move. It's also around where that fuel line is going to run anyways. So it'd probably work out for the best. But yeah, so I will catch up with you guys tomorrow on this whole shebang. So yeah, I'll catch up with you guys then. All right, so we're back on the project of installing this fuel pump, and I'm still waiting on my fittings. So I'll actually be here tomorrow. They're taking a little longer than I expected. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these pumps wired up because the kit comes with, well, okay. The kit does not come with it. You have to order it. It is the relays for the pump. So I'm running the wires, the positive wire. So instead of just running these straight to the ignition wire that runs to the FPCM, it comes with a big relay block that you can purchase, and I'll show you here in a second when I put the camera. And what that's going to let you do is run a straight wire from your positive terminal, so that you don't have all of these volts trying to come out of one of these little bitty wires on the FPCM. You run a big power wire and ground wire to this module because these pumps are going to ask for a lot of voltage, and if you tried to run that to the little wire on the FPCM, it would just burn it right up. So yeah, hold on one second. I'll flip the camera for you guys. So here's the module here right now. This is where I'm going to put it. It's just under my back seat. I've got the fuel pump wires running through the cab. I'm getting ready to put extend these wires a little bit so that these can sit down a little more. And then I'm also going to put a grommet there so that it's a little nicer. But like I said, it has a pretty big positive and ground wire. I still got to run the ground. The positive is ran through the floor and then ran all the way up to the engine bay. Like that. Like I said, nothing's tidied up yet. I was just making sure it was long enough to even do this. But yeah, so I'm going to get these extended so that I can have this sit down and not be in the way of the bed when we try to put that back on. And then these wires I need to run over to this plug here so I can put the fuel level plug in on there. And yeah, so I'm going to get that all wired up, and then I'm going to show you guys the finished product of what that looks like. Also, I do have to run a trigger wire. So I got to figure out which wire on the FPCM is engaged with the ignition. So whenever the ignition kicks on, or whenever you turn the electronics on and it kicks that fuel pump on, I got to figure out which wire it is that runs to that gets the power, so that I can then run it over here to the trigger on here. So it has trigger inputs 1, 2, and 3. So 1, 2, and 3 is, I assume, the pumps. And I only need one right now because I don't need the other 2 pumps even to turn on at the moment. Later on I can add like my boost triggers and stuff like that. But right now I only need that 1 pump to turn on, so that's all I'm actually going to wire up. Okay, so it's been a decent amount of time since the last time I picked the camera up. But I've got the whole thing wired up, and I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Now, every truck's going to be different. So if you have a 19 plus, then yours will be very similar. Where you want to put the FPCM, or it's not FPCM, but where you want to put the new relays and all that, that's up to you. I put it where I wanted it in my truck. Might not be for everybody, all right? and how I wired it. Might not be for everyone either. But this is how I did it on mine. You can do it differently. So I'm gonna turn the camera around and I'm gonna show you exactly what I did. All right, so ignore the dirty back seat. But here is the relay module. I have the 3 pumps all wired in. I have my ground wire, my positive wire, and then I have my single trigger wire. Right now I'm only using the 450 pump. So I have the trigger wire running back to here, to the FPCM, to the ignition wire. That is over there. Every truck is gonna be different. This one was pin 16. On a 19, 17, it says it could be, or a 19 through 20 plus, it's 16 or 17. My truck didn't have a 17, it ended up being the 16. So that's where I wired it into. That's just the ignition. That's gonna be the 450 pump. And later on down the road, I can add a PSI ignition for when I add boost to the truck to kick on the other 2 pumps, or if I need to kick it on with the nitrous. But I then tapped into the level, the factory level, fuel level sensor wires on the plug. It was I wired the blue to the blue in the pump, so I just did blue to blue, black to blue, or black to white, and that does work. I have checked the truck, and my fuel level does work with that hooked up. And I have my tuner sending over a tune that bypasses the FPCM, so really it should just take that power and kick this pump on. So in theory, if I hook the positive up right now, if I went and turned the truck on, it should kick the pump on. I don't have enough of the hoses hooked up to want to test that just yet, because I don't want to shoot fuel underneath the truck yet. I will test it here in a minute, but I want to run my return line and make sure that I have all the hose for that before I connect an 8A in to the other end of the flex sensor. But that's how I did it. I ran my negative down underneath and grounded it on the frame. Still got to vacuum all this stuff up. And then the positive runs all the way to the engine bay and over here, and then it has the inline fuse added, and then this is still not connected yet. But yeah, so that's how I ran the wires on this. Like I said, every truck's going to be a little different, whether you're doing it on a 19 plus or if you're doing it on the 05 to 17, which is what this kit is actually made for. Same with any other vehicle, I guess. If you're running a return style fuel system and you're bypassing the FPCM, you're going to have to tap into whatever ignition wire is on there, so you're going to have to find that. I went on all data and figured out which wire was which, and then went through with my little test light and made sure I was right. But yeah, so that's this wired up. I'm gonna work on getting the regulator put in the engine bay now, so that I can finish running some of the lines that I have while we wait on our other fittings, and just see what kind of progress we can make. All right, just a little update. Here's where I end up mounting the FPCM, or not the FPCM, sorry, the regulator. I made this bracket that mounted up here on the firewall, and then I got my return style on there. I'm still waiting on some other fittings, so I'm not gonna be able to finish this part. But I was able to test the fuel pump system, and now I wired it up, and it did kick on, and the fuel did start to come out. So that is good. We have successfully bypassed the FPCM on this truck. Yeah, so now we're gonna get to the LT4 install. I probably am gonna make that a separate video, and I'm gonna pause here on the low side fuel system until tomorrow when my fittings come in. And hopefully I have the right fittings I need to get this to run where I want it. Because I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to run a 90 on this side or this side to then run here. I don't know. I have to figure that out, because I also have to run for the nitrous system and the Y. So it's all going to be kind of, there's going to be a good amount of lines here. Whether I like the look of it or not. It's just kind of how it's going to be, especially with the fittings I have. I need something that'll at least get the truck to run. I can always change it later. But yeah, so that's where I mounted it. There's enough room to get an Allen key on here to adjust the pressure. I need to add a gauge here to at least see what gauge or what PSI we actually are getting to it. But yeah, I'm going to get the manifold yanked off and do the LT4 high side install. Probably not going to do, I might do a video on that, but we'll see. Because there are videos, I think, of an LT4 install. It's pretty self-explanatory on that one. But yeah, I'll update you guys on the low side whenever I get the fittings tomorrow. Okay guys, we got the fittings in and I got it all hooked up. Not exactly how I wanted to do it, but I got a Y in the back so I can run my Nitrous system here. The Y goes to the regulator, through here, loops around, goes down to the 90. I ended up using the factory connector hose down to the high pressure fuel pump. It was a lot easier for me to just go ahead and do that. Right now I'm trying to source a gauge real quick so I can set this regulator at the right PSI so I can flash my new tune. Because I have the LT4 system on here, I need a new tune, and I switched back to my old manifold because the LT4 was too high, so need a whole new tune, gotta start fresh. So yeah, I'm waiting until I can figure out something to gauge how much fuel I'm actually getting, but it does work. Truck is plugged back in, I've ran the pump, it works, it returns, it runs all the way back here like it's supposed to. It's doing what it's supposed to right now, so we'll see if we can get the first start up here in a bit. Like I said, I just got to find a gauge so that I can make sure I'm getting about 55, I think is what my tuner told me to look for. We might shoot for a little higher, but yeah. So I'll catch up with you guys whenever I can get an answer on that gauge. All right, so we're setting the regulator pressure, and I actually didn't have a regulator, so we're just using HP tuners. With the truck off, you can just use the fuel rail pressure. And right now we're at about 59 PSI, which is probably where we're gonna leave it. About 55 to 60 is where we're shooting for. But since we don't have the fuel pressure hooked up anymore with the new lines, we can't use that. Okay, we've got the new tune flash, so this is the moment of the truth to see if the truck actually runs. Ooh, gotta try to start it. Turned on. I did it. Make sure nothing's leaking. So far, so good. Tries to die with any throttle. All right, guys, I'm gonna give you a quick update. Truck is out of the shop now. It is not running perfect just yet. So we're having some troubles with the tuning. As of my knowledge, this is one of the first 19 pluses with an LT4 high side as well. So this truck fought us a lot just on the initial tune that we did on the truck. And I think it's gonna fight us again. So like I said, I drove it out of the shop. It's just not at the right fuel rail pressure that I would like it at. The low side's doing its thing. It's kicking good pressure up to that high pressure fuel pump. It's just after that high side is where I'm having some issues. So once we get that dialed in, I'll come back and talk to you guys, take you hopefully on a drive and this and that. But for right now, we're kind of stuck. We're just waiting on my tuner to look over some of the logs I sent him and see if we can get some changes going and really get this thing going correctly. Right now we're sitting kind of low on the pressure. So like I said, it's high side oriented. It has nothing to do with this low side. The low side is doing its job. It's doing great. But yeah, so whenever we get an update, I'll update you guys. Okay guys, so it's been about a week and I have not updated the video on the truck. Ignore that the wheels are off. The truck's done. I've been driving it for the last week. It's been doing awesome. So one thing we have not dialed in just yet. The truck does throw a code, but everything works. Fuel pump operates fine, drives fine. I have the regulator set at 60 PSI, and it does great. The truck drives fine, everything like that. I did end up having some issues. My LT4 high pressure side didn't work out of the box. Something was wrong with it. It wasn't building the pressure we were asking for. So I put the LT2 Manny back on with the stock pump with the LT4 injectors. And that's how we're going to roll for now. I'm going to go ahead and talk to DSX and see if they can figure out with that pump, exchange it or whatever. Which, I don't know if you guys saw it, I do kind of have some solenoids. So the truck does now have a 100 shot. There will be some videos on that, as I don't really think there's any of these with a 100 shot on E85. We're going to do a dyno video next week, hopefully. But back to the fuel pump. Right now, we only have the 450 Walbro hooked up. It's all it needs. Right now, we have it set at 60 PSI. It loves it even with the 100 shot. It's more than enough fuel for this truck in this setting. You know, with the mods we have done on the truck right now, it's good. But we do have the issue with the engine light. So with the FPCM on this truck, if you were to unplug it, like I was reading some forums, some people said, just unplug it, you can delete those codes. I said, okay, I looked into it, I did it, and then I realized that I won't have a fuel level gauge. So you can either unplug it, have no fuel level, but no engine light, or you can have your fuel level and an engine light. So right now I'm working on making a dummy plug that will trick the FPCM into thinking the old pump is still plugged in, and that will disable that code completely because we don't have access to the FPCMs on a 19 plus. You might have it on the older years, I don't know, where you could just turn that code off. Sadly, in HP Tuners, that one code that it is throwing, I can't turn off yet. Like I said, I'm gonna bypass it by hopefully making something that can trick the computer into thinking it's plugged in. And that'll get rid of my code completely and we'll be 100% fine. But like I said, other than that, the truck 100% drives. It does great. It loves the fuel pump. Like I said, I've driven for the last week. I put 2 tanks already through it. I drive the truck every day. I drive it a lot. So having it down was kind of annoying, but it works. As I know, this is the first return style fuel system on a 19 plus truck. And it's definitely the first to have one of those snow performance ones because I completely had to modify it. I don't think anyone else was going to do that. But if you're watching this video and you want to, it's not that hard as long as you either know how to TIG weld or have a fabricator that can TIG weld. They can do that mod very, very easily. Like I said, my guy only took about an hour. And that was just because we were talking, and any other guy could do that probably way faster if you're just not sitting there bugging them. But like I said, there's going to be more videos on this truck. It has the 100 shot now. We're going to go put it to the test. I've already tested it a little bit this last weekend. It has definitely picked up a lot. And we're getting ready for Lift Truck Nationals. That's why the wheels are off. We're getting it all cleaned up. Getting ready to get the wheels polished. We're going to enter the burnout contest. And I might record while I'm there, see if we can get something going. See if we can make some videos while we're there. Like I said, I do plan on putting this truck in the burnout contest. And the whole reason I put the Nitrous kit anyways is just to show it off. That's literally it. I could care less if it was actually hooked up, but I wasn't going to just throw the kit on and not hook it up. I just wanted to purge. I'm just going to be honest. I wanted to be able to purge the truck, and I can now. I've already went through a bottle, and it's off getting refilled again. So, all right, I'm going to end the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys use this information and it's useful to you. And if you guys want any Nitrous Express or Snow Performance products, hit me up on Instagram and I can get you something at a discounted price. Like I said, because they did work with me on this. We partnered up and I was able to do something different, something that no one has done. And I'm super proud that it has worked. I'm just glad it worked. And I will figure out that engine light, and I'll definitely make an update on that once I figure it out. Like I said, I have something in my head that'll fix it. I just got to do it. I got to order some stuff. I got to make it work. We should be good. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please hit the subscribe button. If you want more content on this 90 plus, I have big motor plans coming for this truck in the future. Just got to save some money up. That's all. You know, it's just money. It's just money. But yeah, we're going to figure something else out for this right here. This is going to change one day. And I got a goal in mind. We're going to try to reach it. So, like I said, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.